Hi everyone, wanted to do a quick video about a few stocks that are great stocks that are all beating earnings after hours today, and yet they have one thing in common. After reporting great earnings, they all fall. And here's the first example. Workday, WDAY is the ticker symbol, announces great earnings after hours, shoots up immediately to 134.99, and then we observe what I call a trend reversal opportunity where initially it spikes higher and then it reverses completely. So if there's any of you out there traders that have been wondering what's going on, I knew it was a good stock. I knew it was going to have great earnings. Well, sometimes our opinion is 100% irrelevant of what the stock is actually going to do. It's important to observe the reaction of the market to the stock. And so clearly, if we were to analyze this stock a little bit further, let's take a look at the 5-day graph. Right, this volume right here seems to be pretty big. Okay, and clearly, a couple of days prior to this, we noticed there was a lot of green activity going on. In other words, there was a lot of people that were buying the stock in hope of great earnings. So a lot of people like to buy the options before the earnings announcement. I never do that because I've calculated it's a pure gamble, and a lot of times your options end up depreciating. As you can see right now, some buyers are starting to come in right here at 125 level. If we take a look, okay, so here is Workday on a longer time frame, right? This is a chart for the last 6 months. We're seeing some selling every time it gets to about 130, between 135 and 140 range. We're starting to see some sellers coming in. Also, we can clearly see that the volume spikes on the way down. So this is a bearish signal. So right now the stock is clearly trading down after hours, but how low can it go? So in other words, if you were to hypothetically place a trade, tomorrow is Friday, right? You can go highly speculative and play with some options that expire tomorrow. Highly risky, but could be highly profitable. Or you could say, okay, I'm looking at this. The stock market is reacting, in a way where everybody's using this opportunity to sell the stock. Maybe you could be looking at buying, 1 month out, 2 months out. In other words, where can this stock go tomorrow? Well, tomorrow it can go maybe and visit this 120 level. So if it opens up around 127, 128, you still have a possibility of the stock dropping $8. And it definitely has a possibility of going there over the course of the next month. So here's a simple trade on the put side. Very little upside on great news. They actually clearly selling the stock. So depending on where it opens tomorrow, it presents a great opportunity on the short side. Let's take a look at the next stock here. Okay, ULTA. You see, similar situation, right? After hours, great earnings. Not only did it announce great earnings, but it also projected an increase in guidance for the future quarter. Now, typically, during such an announcement, clearly 99% of the stocks, they go higher. Great sales numbers, beat on the sales numbers, beat on the earnings numbers, but yet, look, it spikes to 256, and minutes later we see the stock trading at 238. Actually, I'll let you have a better look at this one day. So this is how it actually looks right here on a 1-minute graph, okay? And so now you see some buyers coming in. It's at 243. What I like to do when trading these earnings situations is I'd like to clearly notice after market, after the earnings announcement, the reaction of the investors to the stock. So initial reaction was positive, then the stock sold off. Again, it sold off on high volume, which is a bearish thing. Now it tries to pull back higher. If in the morning we're not seeing any support around these levels, in other words, if there are buyers not coming in between 244, 248, this actually would create a great short opportunity. Now you got to be careful with this, because if you're seeing a lot of green bars in the morning and on increased volume, that means a lot of people are coming in here and they're using this as a buying opportunity, because again, there's really no reason to be selling this. The stock announces not only phenomenal report, but also a great projected forward-looking report for the next quarter as far as the sales numbers and earnings. So overall, perfect report, yet the stock is down. So if this proceeds in the morning and Who knows? Let's take a look. How low can this thing actually end up going? Let's take a look at the 10 days. All right, so actually it just broke the 10 days. Let's take a look at 20 days. Broke the 20 days. Okay, let's take a look at 180 days. All right, so long-term wise, if you're buying options a few months out, I mean, it could very well end up over the course of the next few months at 200. And clearly the stock is just struggling. Each time it gets to around this 250 range, there's sellers that are coming in. The same situation occurred last time. This little double top right here. Now you've got not just the double top, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the stock has tried to break out here above 256, and each time it failed. And so this is how I evaluate opportunities like this, right? If the stock cannot move higher on phenomenal earnings report, okay, what else can move this stock higher? Apparently, a lot of investors that maybe have been buying the stock around these levels right here, or maybe some of them that were buying the stock here and then ended up in a situation where they've tolerated this move lower, and now at the move higher, the same people that were buying the stock here, like, okay, I can get my money back out right here, so they're selling. But observing the volume, right, you saw a really big spike lower here on big volume. You saw another spike lower here on big volume, another spike lower here on big volume. Again, each time the stock falls, notably it does that on very high volume. But if we look at the history, it actually has a history of being able to bounce back, not immediately. Again, we're looking right now in a pretty long time frame, monthly. So you can't see everyday activity here, but basically what it shows is it has a tendency to bounce after it falls significantly. So we may see some further room though tomorrow. It keeps holding the range right now. Let's go back to the minute graph one more time. So it looks like the stock is stalling around this 240 range. We could see some further movement out of the stock when conference call takes place. So this stock could still either go higher or significantly lower, depending on what will be said during the conference call, which is probably going to start here in about 30 minutes or an hour. Stock for tomorrow. Stock LULU. Everybody should be familiar with that one. Now, the interesting thing about this Lululemon, right? It has had a significant run up. It moved 30% over the last 60 days. Let me show you exactly what has happened here. It broke out of this very long consolidation over the course of a couple of months. And once it broke out of this $78, $79 range, it moved up all the way to about 105, 106. So before it went into earnings report today, it was trading, I guess, around 104, 105 range. So after announcing earnings, it immediately moved to 113, and clearly right now, it's making its way lower. So out of all three stocks, right now, it does not appear to be the best short opportunity. However, this could very well end up being the best short opportunity for tomorrow. Why? Well, because it has not made this complete reversal yet. And so why would I expect another good company that reported great earnings to fall? Well, because we're noticing a pattern here. We have ULTA on great earnings, retail stock, just like Lululemon. They all sell stuff, right? One sells beauty supplies, this one sells athletic attire for women, for yoga classes. So it looks like they're trying to keep it up here, but I wouldn't be surprised that this could reverse completely back to the 105 tomorrow. And I'm making this assumption because the stock has run up significantly. Again, over the last 2 months, the stock has run up 30% from 78 all the way to this, 110 and now 113 after hours, right? So this huge move is not typical for a retail stock within such a short amount of time. So anything that moves too quickly, in my view, has also a possibility of making a rather quick pullback. So in this case, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually saw this at $100 share range over the course of the next 30 days. So your action tomorrow could be considering buying some puts as the stock moves higher. To a lot of traders, it's very unnatural to actually bet against the stock or short the stock when the stock moves higher. What happens to be the best strategy, because when the stock clearly moves higher, your options, your put options, become very affordable. They become a great deal, I should say, because they become very cheaply. And so when this trend reverses, they appreciate in value rather rapidly. So here's 3 examples of stocks that reported great earnings. Again, we've taken a look at ULTA, TRO, stock shoots up higher, then reverses the trend and goes lower. And this trend tomorrow possibly could continue. And so something to look out in the morning again. If the stock moves right here and it stalls or it tries to go higher on lower volume, this reversal could happen. If you see the stock go higher on higher volume, then you know to look out at this range right here at 256, because this is where it could stall. And very important, if you're playing the short side, it's important that it breaks through this level of 238, because this was the low of the market trading hours. So if it breaks below 238, who knows? It may have another move of $8 to $10 to $15, because this is the type of stock that can move 20, 30 bucks at any given day, right? So here's the possibility of the trade here. And Lululemon, we've taken a look at that, and WDAY as well. Earnings bid again. And so this one is stalling right now at 128. It's got a possibility, if it breaks for this 125 level, to go all the way to 120 tomorrow. So plenty of opportunities to short some really good stocks that are just showing sign of weakness. Some of these stocks have run up quite significantly into the earnings report, and clearly investors are using this opportunity to sell at these high prices. So if there's no buyers, regardless of how great the company is, regardless of how great the earnings are, if there's no buyer, you could be convinced that it's the best stock in the world. And you could think the world of the stock, but it does not mean that it's going to go higher, at least not temporarily. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll be able to place some good trades off of this tomorrow. I wish everybody the best in trading. Happy trading tomorrow. And if you are interested in learning more about trading options, definitely visit marketcrash.money. Hit this big green button, how to profit. Look, make sure you position yourself properly right now, because the market crash is coming. So you can hear all the bullish activity right now in the market, but when everybody's becoming too bullish, that really does create some awesome opportunities to short some really good stocks that have run up significantly. And by definition, it does not mean that all the stocks are going to crash, but it does mean that a lot of stocks will experience significant pullbacks, which creates great opportunity from the standpoint of trading options. So if you are looking at finding some new strategies, if you've been trading for a while, if you are brand new into trading and you'd like to learn how to trade options, definitely visit marketcrash.money. Hit this button right here, how to profit. Make sure put yourself in a position where you'll be able to take advantage of the stock market crash before it takes advantage of you. Learn some of these strategies so you would know exactly what to do when it actually starts taking place. Whoa, stop! What is going on here? Well, what you're looking at is a plummeted price of AutoZone stock in just a matter of an hour or two, when it went up pre-market from 710 and fell later in the day all the way to 596. Why should you care? By utilizing a very simple option strategy, we were able to turn every $1,000 of investment from 9:30 in the morning till 10:45 a.m. into an excess of $10,000. That's right, literally a $10,000 investment produced in excess of $100,000 in gains. The crazy truth about stocks and options trading: most of the fortunes were created when stocks fall. So if you're not utilizing this crazy strategy, you're definitely missing out on thousands of dollars, and you're leaving that money on the table for somebody else. Look, these are the facts. Just think about it. Stocks drop actually much, much faster than it takes them to climb higher. So just take a look. There's your AZO graph right here. It took it a month, 2 months to get from this 580 level all the way to about 700. And look how fast it dropped just in one day. Now, how do we know that this had a potential to happen? Look, it has a history of doing these things at the same level at around 700. It did it last time during the earnings report. So you don't have to be a rocket science. You just got to know which stocks, when to take action, and you got to know how to find the stocks. Has it ever occurred to you that every day when the market goes higher, there's plenty of stocks that actually drop Because if every day some stocks did not drop, then the market would go to the moon, just like Bitcoin, right? The reality of life, everything that goes up must come down. Look at the housing bubble in 2008. Bitcoin prices, when nobody believed, we put a recommendation at 18,800 to short Bitcoin. In other words, to make money when it falls. The bottom line is this: you don't need a market crash for you to actually profit on stocks falling. The opportunities are there every single day. You just got to know where to look for. If you grasp the simple idea that stocks fall much faster than they go up, you will be able to become a much more effective and efficient stock or options trader. Okay, hold on. So what you're saying is, while everybody's chasing the stocks on the way higher, the real money is actually made when stocks drop. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you'd like to learn more about this fascinating and yet such a simple strategy, I invite you to go behind the scenes with me, where I will reveal to you how I turned 12,000 into 466,000 in less than 7 hours trading options with this strategy. And I know this sounds crazy, but I actually did it. And I want to share with you all the specifics, all the details of how I was able to accomplish that. So if you'd like to become a better trader, take action now. Click the link on the button below. Life is too short. Don't waste another minute. Today is your day.